This is Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Lami Ali. You're welcome. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says despite uncoordinated global efforts to stimulate economic activities through fiscal and monetary policy actions as well as health sector interventions, the African continent grew by 3.7% in 2021 and is projected to grow by 3.8% in 2022. At a special address to the World Economic Forum Davos agenda, Osinbajo said, given its bold steps to integrate through the African Union Agenda 2063, the African Continental Free Trade Area agreements, as well as the demographic dividends of its large youth population, the continent holds the promise of a prosperous future post-pandemic. The continent, he said, faces serious threats of terrorism and climate impacts which require the intervention of the international community to guarantee global peace and security. The Vice President made an emphatic case for a just energy transition that recognizes natural gas, which is abundant in Africa, as a transition fuel, adding that moves by international financial institutions to defund gas projects will have short and long-term negative impact on African economy. Now, data from conversations at the ongoing Davos agenda of the World Economic Forum indicates that the world used 9% more coal in 2021 than it did in 2020, thereby increasing greenhouse gas emissions. This increase is coming amidst nationally determined contributions to reduce the world's temperature to below 1.5 degrees by 2050. U.S. Special Presidential Envoy on Climate Change, John Kerry, and some global business leaders like Bill Gates recommend greater investments in the technology needed to transition from coal and fossil fuels to renewable energy to bring down the emission levels.
The Energy Agency tells us that 50% of the emissions we have to stop over the next 10 years are going to come from technologies that are not yet capable of coming to scale. So we need a massive effort of investment by governments and by the private sector to send the message that will accelerate bringing these technologies to scale.
Well, the rich countries have to play a central role, both funding R&D and having policies. In some cases, carbon taxes will be used to drive the demand for these clean products.
At a session on accelerating and scaling up climate innovations, participants at the Davos Agenda Dialogues also recommend carbon pricing and using available technology to solve the carbon problem.
We're talking about major transformation in energy, industry, transportation at the same time. And the regulatory framework needs to facilitate this and make sure we don't exclude any fossil-free technologies beforehand, like small modular nuclear reactors, for example, which can play an important role here.
Support from developed countries to the developing world is deemed crucial in the scaling of climate innovation. Now, the federal government is working with state governments to identify communities that will benefit from the 5 million solar home systems aimed at increasing access to power supply in the country. Joshua Ojito reports that Sokoto and Bauchi states have indicated interest to key into the initiative.
5 5 million households with 250,000 jobs to be created by 2023 is what federal government targets under the Solar Niger project to provide reliable and affordable power supply to rural communities. The project, which is being implemented under the Economic Sustainability Plan, is expected to positively impact more than 25 million beneficiaries across the country. Sokoto and Bauchi states are leveraging opportunities the initiative is providing and approach Federal Ministry of Power to assess the project.
Have high expectation that our rural communities will wear new look courtesy of Federal Ministry of Power's initiatives.
I have been so excited, and His Excellency has kept me on my toes. He asked me to ensure the support of the government of Bauchi State for this project, and whatever is expected of his government, we are committed to it.
Federal Ministry of Power stands ready to assist all the states that are participating in this program. The funding arrangement has already approved and with the CBN to make sure that these programs become a reality.
These are the first states to sign the tripartite memorandum of understanding for the implementation of the solar home systems, with Kaduna, Kano, Cross River, Taraba and Ogun states expected to key in soon. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
And in other news, President Muhammadu Buhari is making another giant stride by the approval of the reconstruction of railway tracks from Minna to Barrow Port, as disclosed at the Federal Executive Council meeting. Thus, the Minister of State Works and Housing, Muaz Jaji Sambu, says will open up the access for trade, agriculture and commuting. Abdullahi Muhammad reports.
The man in charge of Nigerian waterways leading his lieutenants to congratulate one of their own, Minister of State Works and Housing. Settling down, the minister puts on the table the good news, a transformative move which will invigorate the activities of the Nigeria Inland Waterways Authority.
The Federal Executive Council has approved a rail connection to Barrow Port. And I am sure by the time that is done, you know what it means. Business for Niwa, business for the people of Niger State, and business for Nigeria, and a plus for inland waterways development.
For the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, Nigeria Inland Waterways Authority, the appointment of one of their own as minister is addition to the long list of federal appointees from the authority.
If you recall, the Secretary to Government of the Federation was a former Managing Director, CEO of NIWA. Then the Minister of State for Health was also a former MD of NIWA. And here again you have our former area manager, a general manager in NIWA, also being appointed the Minister of State for Works and Housing. So we have come today to celebrate with him, congratulate him, wish him well, pray with him.
The delegation from NIWA left with high hopes that their own will make the nation proud. In Abuja, Abdullahi Muhammad, NTA News.
The federal government says it is exploring the unlimited digital opportunities to promote education, given the technological advancements being experienced in the country. This was practically demonstrated at the groundbreaking ceremony of Universal Basic Education Commission Model Smart School in Hadejia, Jigawa State. Mohammed Askira has details.
The idea of building the UBEC Model Smart School, Executive Secretary of the Commission noted, was conceived out of the need to lay a solid foundation for the active participation of Nigeria in a global economy that is increasingly driven by information and communication technology. The objective is also to introduce young talents to this area of study from the moment they step into school. The school is a complex designed to cater for learners at the early childhood care and development education, primary and junior secondary school of the basic education subsector. The innovation is a fallout from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, which resulted in the lockdown of schools across the country, stalling learning process.
We need to remember that the business of education cannot be left to government alone. The success of our educational programs rests on the level of contributions from everybody.
We give the commitment as Jigawa Lagos State government to not only support this smart school that we are building, but also to support the establishment of compatible schools outside the region that can tap from the resources and the infrastructure that we are going to establish in this smart school.
To support this project, that's why we are citing another center across the road to provide more digital equipment to support the center.
UBEC Model Smart School, Hadejia, expected to be completed early next year, is one of the 37 spread across the country and the Federal Capital Territory. From Dutse, Muhammad Askira, NTA News.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, says it will achieve 100% automation of all its tax administration processes with a view to blocking revenue leakages, which will revamp revenue generation in Nigeria. The executive chairman of the service, Muhammad Nami, stated this as the PDABO 2022 annual public-private sector engagements, where he called on Nigerians to support the cause by cooperating with the service. The chairman also revealed that in 2022, the FIRS will give priority to the collection of taxes from the digital economy and will deploy technological tools to assess entities which fall within the significant economic presence threshold and relevant turnover generated from Nigeria. The agency will also focus on compliance and enforcement strategies in 2022 by leveraging on intelligence, strategic data mining and analysis to enhance audit and investigation functions while implementing the penalty regimes in accordance with the law. Time now to join Adeola in our Lagos studio with trending stories from there. Adeola, it's over to you.
Thank you, Lami. Eligible Nigerians who may wish to transfer their registration or have misplaced or defaced their permanent voter cards, PVCs, now have an opportunity to register for a new one. This is because the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has reopened its portal for the continuous voter registration exercise. Kende Adebisi reports.
Registration of eligible voters and updating voter register are some of the core duties of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. With the 2023 general elections just about a year away, the Commission has kick-started the process of opening its registration portals for the continuous voter registration. The exercise, according to INEC, will last over a period of 2 months, and Nigerians are expected to take advantage of the window. So far, over 8 million Nigerians have registered nationwide using both the online portal and physical registration mode since the portal reopened in July last year. Abdurrahman Ajao is one of those who have seized the opportunity to enroll.
I've registered for a long time, but the face is not clear and my name is not written fully. So I came to make corrections on that.
Some respondents who already have their PVCs encouraging other Nigerians to take advantage of the opportunity rather than wait for the last-minute rush.
Your number should also be part of those. At least you have a clear conscience that you did your own part and you did your own. You did your civic responsibility, which is voting for whoever you want. So I think it's advice. I would advise everyone who has not gotten to please get it.
Apart from election, it is useful. Take for instance in a bank, they do demand for PVC or voters card, PVC or NIN. It's very good, and I want Nigerians to go for the art as well. For those who have not done that, to go for it, and those who have done it, and then to keep it very well.
I have it already, but silent time is basic, and I'm about to register for another one.
It is expected that before the deadline expires, more eligible Nigerians will visit the portal to make needed amends when necessary. In Lagos, Kende Adebisi, NTA News.
Lagos State government is making conscious efforts to empower residents with requisite knowledge in Waste to Wealth initiative to reduce indiscriminate waste disposal and boost economic stability of the state. Musa Toliat will tell us more.
Lagos Waste Management Authority estimates that not less than 15,000 metric tons of municipal waste is generated every day across the metropolis. The rate of waste generation is proportional to the growing population, which has continued to challenge efforts towards effective waste management in the state. Global best practices in waste management support recycling, which involves turning waste to wealth. The one-day workshop by the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation seeks to empower women-focused non-governmental organizations with skills to convert waste into consumables for global entrepreneurial development amongst women.
There are so many programs that the ministry do, and we are very passionate about creating opportunities for women to make money so that they can be independent, they can support their families.
Instead of the women littering everywhere with waste, they can actually translate it to wealth.
You have recyclers that are around. Go on the Packham app, download the app, request for pickup, and a recycler would be at your doorstep to pick up these materials.
One of the expected outcomes of the skills acquisition program is to see economic potentials in waste generation and curb indiscriminate waste disposal.
We don't even have the capacity for what is coming if we don't begin to take serious actions towards recycling and, just generally taking care of our environment.
Unfortunately, we are doing even health to wealth. That taking care of your health, you can even earn.
The task before these women from various non-governmental organizations is to pass on the knowledge acquired to indigent women in their various communities. The theme of the one-day workshop is Waste to Wealth, a tool to eradicate poverty. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
And those are the stories making the rounds in Lagos at this time. We'll take a break now, and when we return,
to Ibadan. The need to manage water resources to minimize its scarcity and pollution through exploitation and poor handling has been stressed. This was the focus of discourse at a sensitization workshop on the National Water Resources Master Plan for stakeholders in the Southwest Geopolitical Zone. Shala Wahid has the report.
The aim of the workshop is to stress the importance of water to life and for stakeholders to deliberate on the actualization of the National Water Resources Master Plan to optimize the nation's water resources as well as financial and economic investment options in water resources development. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, Didi Wilson-Jack, explained that the goal of the plan is to achieve accelerated growth, integrated and coordinated water resources development and management, agricultural production, and food security.
Water is something that concerns different levels and tiers of government. And so what we are doing today is all in a bid to ensure that there is more access.
Groundwater is a big issue, and which we must take cognizance of. Almost 90% of Nigerians rely on groundwater resource for their own use. So government should please place emphasis, critical emphasis on groundwater and make sure that it is well regulated and even the professionals are made to practice well.
When you are doing sensitizations, involve those political will there too, so that they will know what you are putting in, so that anytime they bring the things to table, it won't be new to you.
Somebody just rightly said that there's water scarcity. If you are not planning well, there's no way we'll be able to make this water available.
The sensitization workshop is expected to take place in the 6 geopolitical zones across the country. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
A major disaster was averted in the early hours of today in Ibadan when a fuel-laden tanker caught fire while offloading its content in a filling station. Correspondent Shola Wahid, who visited the scene, reports that no life was lost.
The fire incident, according to eyewitnesses, began at about 6:30 a.m. when a fuel-laden tanker caught fire while offloading its content in a filling station located at Basharon area, Ibadan. The gallant effort of the driver who drove the burning tanker out of the filling station to avert major disaster in the crowded residential area was commended.
The tanker caught fire during the process of transferring into their reservoir. So immediately fire engulfed the tank. Then the tank was moved by the driver with the fire out of the filling station.
With me is the officer in charge of this operation, Officer Odebimi Gbadebo. He is going to tell us about what really happened.
There is a spark from the engine compartment that caused the fire. So, and on getting there, we quickly switched into action, and the fire was put out. No life was lost, and nobody was injured.
And getting to the scene, we embark on work to make sure that we quench the fire, and we used about 10,000 litres to submerge the fire.
It took the joint efforts of men of Oyo State Fire Service and Federal Fire Service to put out the fire and do the needful. Although management of the filling station was not available for comment, all is now calm as the tension has been doused. In Ibadan, Shola Wahid, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. It's back to Lami in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Kemi. Now, the approval of 3.5 billion naira by the federal government for water projects in Geshua, Bade local government area and neighboring communities in Yobe has rekindled the hope of residents of having access to potable water that has eluded them for many years. They are even more excited that a team of experts will also be dispatched to the area to determine the empirical causes of kidney disorder, which has assumed endemic status there. Bashir Nababa has details of the report.
Although there are no scientific proofs yet as to the reasons for the prevalence of kidney disorder among residents of the 6 local government areas that made up Yobe North Senatorial District, many have, however, linked the incidences of renal failure to many factors, which include water consumed, contaminated soil, and vegetables, as well as chemicals often applied for fishing in the area, with Geshua being the worst hit by the spike in kidney failure. Hence, the residents received with delight and sense of relief the federal government's approval for water supply project to their locality.
We are all excited. Even if you go around the town or the village of the local government, you will see people are smiling because of the good development that are happening.
Gaskiya mun ji daɗin da wannan al'amarin da aka ce an taimaka da wannan kuɗin. Allah tabbatar da alheri kuma Allah sa mu ga ƙarshen wannan abun.
It will be recalled that the federal government has in May last year awarded contract worth over 8.4 billion naira for Damaturu Regional Water Supply Project to tackle water scarcity in the state capital city and its environs. From Damaturu, Bashir Nababa, NTA News.
To election matters now, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has commended the media for being factual in reportage, especially during the Anambra State 2021 governorship election, and appealed for such standard in the Ekiti and Osun 2022 governorship elections. The chairman made the commendation during a consultative meeting in Abuja with the media ahead of the Ekiti, Osun and the 2023 general elections.
We also look forward to strengthening this partnership, especially as we continue to conduct more off-cycle and by-elections this year and implement critical activities towards the 2023 general elections, which is just 393 days away.
National Treasurer of the NUJ, Delia Atumbi, who stood in for the NUJ chairman, promised the union's continued support in reforming the nation's electoral process.
We'll do everything possible to ensure the sustenance of our democratic values at every point in time. We should equally do everything possible to support INEC as Nigerians, and we should stop these destructive tendencies, especially by destroying INEC facilities. Nigerians should stop that. We should protect our national asset. It is part of national asset that should be protected. And if peradventure we continue to destroy national assets, it is not in the best interest of all of us.
Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, has been awarded for excellence in terms of transparency and accountability for leading humanitarian interventions in the country. Rusa Gwele reports that this followed an assessment and investigation by International Human Rights Commission. The report.
To whom much is given, they say much is expected. And it would seem that in the context of leadership and responsibility, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is blazing the trail, having made transparency and accountability its watchword in the task of lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty. It is now getting accolades for efforts considered worthy of emulation.
The report we have received from the partner, International Police Corporation, has proven negative of any money diversion linked directly or indirectly to the Honorable Minister. And this has compelled the resolution of our advisory board to honor the Honorable Minister as the first Nigerian most trusted woman in public office.
For the minister, she believes due diligence and consistency is rewarding.
I see this I know that's an international human rights organization. So this award goes to the team as well, who have supported me through thick and thin. For us to even be recognized that we're doing well, and we'll continue to serve our country in our service to humanity.
In another development, a delegation from the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs is ready to strengthen modalities to enhance cooperation for humanitarian interventions for Nigeria, especially for displaced persons. For the ministry, this partnership will help in providing durable solutions for humanitarian interventions in the country. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Governors Forum has commended the leadership of the Nigerian Senate for accelerating the removal of contentious clauses in the draft electoral bill. The commendation formed part of the communique reached at the end of the forum's first session in the year 2022. NGF pledges commitment to dialogue with the organized labor on issues surrounding the petroleum subsidy to avoid disagreements that may further undermine government efforts towards salvaging the economy. Our next stop is Sokoto, and Asmao is there to guide us as we take stories on that end. Hello, Asmao.
Ulami, good evening and welcome to Sokoto on Nationwide. Members of the National Assembly and other dignitaries from within and beyond have continued to condole with Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal over the death of his eldest brother, Waziri Tambuwal Muhammadu Bello. Elhat Abdullahi has the report.
A delegation from the two chambers of the National Assembly were at the Sokoto residence of Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal on the condolence visit. They were led by the Senate leader, Senator Yahya Abubakar Abdullahi, who told Governor Tambuwal that they were at his residence on the authorities of the Senate President and the Speaker of Federal House of Representatives to condole him, the families, and the entire people of Sokoto State. The Niger Republic presidential delegation also paid condolence visit on the orders of President Muhammadu Bazoum to government and the people of Sokoto State. The Nigerian delegation was led by the special advisor to President Bazoum, the former Maradi regional governor, Zakari Umaru. Also on condolence visit was the PDP Governors Forum under the leadership of its chairman, the governor of Abia State, Okezi Victor Epiazu. He was accompanied by Governor of Rivers State, Yesom Wuke, Oyo State, Sheyi Makinde, Enugu State, Ifeanyi Oguanyi, and that of Adamawa State, Ahmad Fintiri. There was also a delegation from the national headquarters of the PDP under the leadership of National Vice Chairman of the party in charge of Northern Region, Umaru Damagun. Others include Sokoto State legislators, Inter-Party Advisory Council in the state, Sokoto State chapter of the MBA, as well as the retired senior civil servants, the former deputy governors, and former members of the National Assembly. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
As part of efforts to complement government strides in responding to the humanitarian crisis arising from the activities of armed bandits, Zamfara Cycle Community Initiative has commenced distribution of relief materials to IDPs in the state. Jamilu Ibrahim has the details.
Activities of armed bandits have continued to cause serious concern to people in Zamfara State, especially the rural communities, with massive displacement of persons, most of whom are currently taking shelter in Gusau and some other major towns across the state. To complement government's effort in addressing the humanitarian crisis, the Zamfara Cycle Community Initiative launched an appeal fund for the provision of relief materials to the IDPs. As individuals and groups responded positively to the clarion call, the community initiative has procured and distributed assorted food items and clothing materials to no fewer than 1,000 displaced persons, mostly women and children, who are taking refuge in the state capital, Gusau.
At the moment, we are engaged in soliciting or appealing for relief funds for the IDPs. They are living in the marketplaces, motor park, a garage, and whatsoever, and they don't have food. In the morning, they will just scatter in the town searching for food, begging.
The beneficiaries, who are full of gratitude to the Zamfara Cycle Community Initiative for the concern, appealed for the sustenance of the ongoing intensified onslaught against the armed bandits for the restoration of lasting peace in their respective communities. Similar donation is billed to be extended to other IDPs in different centers across the state. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Lami in Abuja for more on Nationwide.
The Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Ali Baba, has promised to continue the synergy with the Cross River State governments on crime prevention in the state. The IGP stated this when he visited Governor Ayade in Government House, Calabar. Paul Abel reports.
The 21st indigenous IGP of the Nigerian Police Force, Usman Al-Ali Baba, is on a nationwide familiarization tour of police commands after assumption of office as IGP on 8 April 2021. His visit to the State Police Command headquarters comes with words of encouragement for officers and men who, despite the mayhem brought about by the 2020 NSAS protest, are still gallant in the performance of their duties. The IGP commends Governor Ayade for his support to the police and appeals for more collaboration among security agencies, especially with the peculiarity of the maritime environment in the state.
Among the challenges of the command that the CP railed out, I have been able to bring assistance in one or two areas. I promised him 10 new vehicles. We will continue to assist the command with what we have.
Giving a rising ovation to the IGP for support to the State Police Command, Governor Ayade promised to maintain the good, cordial working relationship with the police.
I have never seen where you go to a police officer and he's giving you millions and millions of goods. Cars, helmets, coveralls. This is the first time the police is giving out. Can we stand up?
The ADC to Governor Ayade, who was promoted from DSP to SP, was also decorated by the IGP and Governor Ayade. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the African Bar Association has resolved not to support the investigation and prosecution of the Nigerian army on alleged war crimes at the International Criminal Court, ICC. The president of the association stated this while on a working visit to the Nigerian Army headquarters, Abuja. He urged ICC to rather channel its efforts towards the prosecution of sponsors of terrorism and other crimes in the country.
That the African Bar will not be cooperating with it and will not allow it to investigate anything against the Nigerian army. Instead, they should go and seek those who are sponsoring terrorism against our people and those who are waging war against our army. Those are the people we expect the ICC should look for, not an army that is responding to obvious threats.
It's very pleasant to hear you will say that when issues come up, you usually seek clarification before you join forces with others. I think that's one of the best ways to do things instead of just jumping on one side and report from someplace. We want to encourage you to continue in that light.
Similarly, the head of Delegation International Committee of the Red Cross was also at the Army headquarters to commend the military for creating an enabling environment for humanitarian activities.
Really appreciate the support we are receiving, both at the headquarter level in Abuja, but more specifically, of course, in the field where our colleagues, teams are deployed to conduct our humanitarian activities.
The Chief of Army Staff commended the ICRC for its support to army formations and installations. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, has applauded Nigeria for its leadership role and commitment towards curbing maritime crimes. In a statement, Head Strategic Communication, Office of the National Security Advisor, Zakari Usman says, the Executive Director, UNODC, Gadafathi Wali, gave the commendation in New York, noting that the successful collaboration between Nigeria and UNODC, as evidenced by the Global Maritime Crime Program and the Strategic Vision for Africa launched in 2021, has encouraged the organization to extend its partnership beyond national governments to regional organizations. For the first time in Africa, Nigeria successfully secured the prosecution of 10 pirates in July 2021, sequel to President Muhammadu Buhari's assent to the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Bill, making Nigeria to become the first country in the West and Central African sub-regions to promulgate a standalone law against piracy on the 24th of June 2019. We're now joining Benin for more on Nationwide.
The demolition of some sections of the Benin Central Hospital and relocation of some services have been generating reactions and concerns in different quarters in the state. Agatha Egwarojo reports on options by government and the different opinions on it.
The Central Hospital, Benin City, is a colonial relic built in 1902. It is located on Saple Road, a few meters from the Obavorame Square, the city center. Except for gynecology and obstetrics departments, as well as maternity ward still intact. Other buildings have been brought down and the space now worksite. General outpatient department, dental care, medicine, surgery, and orthopedic departments have been relocated to the Edo Specialist Hospital.
Apart from the distance being far, Saple Road is always choked up. So in case of emergency, what will now happen?
We are in the world of change. It's only change that is permanent. So the man said they want to change it. They want to renovate it. He didn't say he was going to destroy it forever and ever.
Many years ago, the hospital will be there. There's no one can just come in, demolish it like that, say want to put another things. I don't feel it way.
I think to rebuild is a very good idea.
The All Progressives Congress APC in the state is alleging the space has been penciled for a motor park.
If it's not a motor park, Obaseki should tell Edo people what he wants to do with the demolished Central Hospital. Central Hospital was so named because of its central location.
But this is the plan of the state government.
What you need are decentralized health clinics across the state, what you call primary healthcare centers, that will be the first contact with patients. And it is only based on reference from those units you now come either to this facility or to the specialist hospital facility.
The Edo Specialist Hospital that accommodates the departments was built by former Governor Adams Oshomole in 2016 after pulling down most of the colonial structures. It was intended to serve as the accident and emergency wing of the Central Hospital. In Benin, Agatha Egwarojo, NTA News.
And now the price of domestic gas has reduced appreciably compared to the second, third, and fourth quarters of 2021. Residents of Benin are, however, appealing to relevant authorities to ensure stability in order to avail persons with low means of income access to the commodity. Dennis Temple has details.
Ghost Time Osamu Dieme is an attendant in one of the gas stations in Benin City.
His view is that the sharp reduction in the price of LPG is attributed to its availability in many gas outlets in the city, which suggests that the more the product is available, the better the prices.
A kg now is 600, unlike when it was 750 or even 800. You know, it's competitive business. Some might be selling higher price.
Contrary to the prices of LPG between the second, third, and the last quarters of 2021, the price in the first quarter of 2022 records a sharp decline.
They should minimize the cost price as the price of the LPG. At least Nigeria is an oil-producing country. The price of LPG should be reduced, not 600 naira per kg.
It was not as low as this in November and December when 1 kg cylinder was sold for as high as 800 naira, making it to get out of reach of persons with low income, a situation many described as hectic.
Domestic gas that you can afford, even if you look at it, they are flaring it. It's being wasted. The only little ones now, the people cannot even afford it.
If we just even buy our gas when we the last month for 12.5, the last a month before, now 2 weeks, before 2 weeks it don't finish.
They are of the view that if the trend continues on the path of decline, government's drive towards building a sustainable environment will be achieved. In Benin, Dennis Temple, NTA.
And the last segment of the news will be coming from Abuja. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Ogochukuka. Back in Abuja, Nigeria is said to have recorded a 9% reduction in the number of road traffic crashes and a 26% reduction of deaths due to road accidents in the year 2021 when compared to the previous year. Commercial Federal Road Safety Corps said this while reviewing the end-of-the-year operations of the Corps in 2021 and 2022 strategic goals. Uyeyemi Ajayi has the details.
The Federal Road Safety Corps, during the 2021 end-of-the-year patrol operation, which was codenamed Operation Zero Tolerance for Road Crashes, had a definite mandate of ensuring that road mishaps are brought to the barest minimum. In the period under review, the Corps apprehended 20,845 offenders, impounded 11,060 vehicles, while 9,787 confiscations were recorded. In spite of these, 600 road traffic crashes were recorded, and 52% of these were as a result of overspeeding.
The alarm about the issue of speed since the beginning of the year, and that this year we are determined to tackle this. And most of these crashes we mentioned now involves more of private vehicles. On the issue of this speed, we are taking it very seriously. If you remember at the beginning of the end of the year patrol operations, we raised alarm and specific directives that the issue of speed limiting devices will not be compromised. And we have given very strict directives to the patrol teams. All commercial vehicles must fully have the speed limiting device installed in the vehicles.
Other factors highlighted include driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol, night journeys, dangerous driving, wrongful overtaking, overloading, and tire violations. For the year 2022, the Corps revealed that it will be working with 3 strategic goals, which would entail the accomplishment of 15% reduction in road traffic crash fatality, enhance road safety partnership for innovative intervention, and consolidate on road traffic data system for improved road safety policy formulation. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Now, the Federal Capital Territory Task Force on Polio Eradication has held its maiden meeting in 2022 to discuss and strategize on matters of routine immunization activities. Odiri Arutere reports that updates on COVID-19 vaccination rollouts in the FCT was also on the agenda.
Second quarter of 2014, the Federal Capital Territory maintained zero status of wild polio virus. The chairperson, FCT Task Force on Polio Eradication, Immunization, and FCT Minister of State, represented by the Senior Special Assistant on Administration, Professor Muhammad Usman, commended the efforts of the task force towards the success of polio campaign in the territory.
The FCT is expected to participate in the upcoming mutant poliovirus outbreak response when all children less than 5 years of age are expected to receive 2 drops of potent oral polio vaccine, OPV. I wish to assure all that the FCT administration is totally committed to the vision of Mr. President to eradicate polio in Nigeria.
Coming together will create an environment for cross-fertilization of ideas for deepening FCT response to the outbreak of circulating mutant poliovirus type 2.
I'd like to let you know that we are totally committed to ensuring that FCT achieves all the targets set for it for 2022.
Members of the FCT Task Force on Polio Eradication Initiative immunization include the owner of Abuja, Alhaji Adamu Baba Yunusa, General Manager NTA Channel 5, Ayo Adewuyi, World Health Organization FCT Office, amongst others. In Abuja, Odiri Arutere, NTA News.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 123 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. In the latest figures released, Edo has 33 cases, Osun has 25, Rivers and Kaduna have 12 cases each, Oyo has 10 cases, Kwara 6, Ogun has 3, while Bauchi and Kano have 3 cases each. Borno, Delta and Ekiti have 1 case apiece. So far, 251,694 cases have been confirmed, 225,455 have been discharged, while 3,123 deaths have so far been recorded. Now, the level of moral decadence among Nigerian youths is taking a dimension that is becoming worrisome, and guests on Good Morning Nigeria attributes this to societal influence. They say restructuring of the educational system, a structural reward for excellence as well as the promotion of good moral values across board will reduce the crime rate. Thomas Obetere brings us details of the conversation.
It is a crisis situation that needs urgent redress, given the fact that Nigerian youths are symbolically the leaders of tomorrow. The guests had varying opinion on the root cause, with pointers directed at lack of investment in youth development, technology, uncensored TV content, the hustle culture, and of course, inadequate communication within family units and amongst leaders. They called on Nigerians to stop celebrating ill-gotten wealth, but rather focus on reward system for hard work and excellence.
I think right now we are victims of our own creation. Because if you look at the young people nowadays, I would say they're a very smart group, they're a very intelligent group. In fact, I would say that sometimes they know more than we know.
We need to consistently, I use the word consistently, to move to the path of personal growth and development.
The Nigerian situation, or perhaps what they call the socialization of the Nigerian system, calls for concern, and the guests agree that the media, movie makers, religious bodies, community leaders, and justice system have a significant role to play in ensuring decent behavioral pattern among these ones.
We need to edit the content Nigerians receive daily. We need to lead the way, even down to journalists.
What type of education do we want to give our children, the content, and what type of civilization do we aspire? We tackle that first.
The guests, who called on youths to shun the get-rich-quick syndrome, noted that it is more rewarding to live for a legacy and build a viral nation. In Abuja, Thomas Obetere, NTA News.
And that's the size of our package on Nationwide for today. We thank you for watching. Don't forget to join the NTA in its campaign against rape and rapists. I'm Lami Ali.